Hello everyone, another video here on the channel. I ask those who aren't subscribed yet to please subscribe, leave a like if you enjoy the content, share it, and feel free to use the comment section. Today we're going to talk about TikTok. In some of my previous videos, I mentioned TikTok as more of a secondary tool, more on the sidelines, kind of a supporting player with little prominence, let's put it that way. And after some time here, a few months on YouTube, watching other content creators and talking to some of them, I realized that my view on this was wrong. That's it. Instagram is definitely still the flagship among these tools that have changed the dynamic. Man, woman, because it's a tool that at the same time is minimalist, but it manages to bring all the glamour and activate instincts, like hypergamy in a way, unique. However, TikTok isn't just a silly tool for Gen Z girls. It's not just about doing little dances. I've started watching a lot of content about this, and there's a channel I really like. I'll even leave a pinned comment recommending you subscribe, although I think many of you already know it. Edu Cortez de Alto Valor. I talk a lot with the channel owner, and he's been doing a lot of interesting analyses, including some about movies. He covers the most red-pilled content from the 1940s and 1950s and brings a lot of female red pill content that's produced on TikTok. And we've been talking over these past few weeks. And in fact, TikTok plays a fundamental role today in understanding the female psyche. Why is that? Despite the joking tone, that more mocking vibe that TikTok has, it's precisely because it's seen as, quote, just a little joke, unquote, that women go there, and everyone knows, even though it's a cliche, it's true. Every joke, or almost every joke, has a grain of truth to it. So far from problematizing little jokes and clowning around here, especially since men have done that too. A lot, actually. This has happened on the internet in the days of digital cameras and, well, back in the early days of YouTube. But here, we're going to focus on what's more serious, what you can really see is dysfunctional in society. And there are a lot of videos popping up of women aged 25, 27, 30, 35, even 40, talking in a minute or just a few seconds, since these are short videos. I don't know what the maximum video length is. On TikTok, actually, I don't think there is a limit, because there are some longer videos. So I've already seen some of them talking, explaining things, doing movie reviews and so on. But anyway, they're mostly short videos, the vast majority, and these women are just clowning around. They're making fun of their own single status, mocking men, and basically looking down on all kinds of men, especially the less attractive and poorer ones, who are the majority in Brazil. And they don't realize that this is shooting themselves in the foot, because no matter how much you add background music, little dances, laughter, and whatever else, men can see that that's really what women think. They can't even pretend for a second that it's not. That is just fiction for an entertainment app. And it's precisely because of this facade or shield that women have on this app that they're able to drop all kinds of red pills there and do all sorts of silly things that actually reveal what they really think. So the big problem that women aren't seeing today is that the men they want aren't, no matter how much those guys, when the women are attractive, will chase after them, they don't want to date them. So I mentioned this in the video about the dilemma of attractive and average women, that women are suffering from a kind of everyone syndrome. Everyone wants to sleep with me, but no one wants to date me, especially the more attractive women. The average ones still suffer a bit more from this, and the less attractive ones suffer even more. So yeah, TikTok, precisely because it's a tool that allows the type of humor, speech, and dress that's a bit more irreverent than on Instagram, for example. Instagram is more like an expensive magazine full of people nobody knows. TikTok isn't like that. TikTok is more like a street party, to use an analogy. It doesn't have that kind of gala, that status that Instagram has. So in the beginning, it really was something used more for dance videos and things like that. Even older women saw it as, oh, that's just for kids, whatever, but a lot of them are moving over to TikTok. Well, not moving, but using it alongside Instagram. Instagram still dominates a lot. It's the main platform, and I believe it will continue to be for some time. But I had misread TikTok. I'm here. I even mentioned that at the beginning of the video, because it really tries to have a monstrous amount of power. There are a lot of channels out there. Yeah, I'm addicted, not just to the Course de Alto Valor channel, but to all kinds of videos. That's where I see this female red pill stuff in those TikTok clips because it's just endless. There are so many women from all over Brazil, and it's not just about women spreading the red pill, but also the female desperation is becoming portrayed on TikTok with women complaining that men aren't approaching them, asking where the men are. So there are a lot of signs that winter is coming. Always remembering that this idea of winter is coming isn't about a lack of government support or that there will be a lack of men in these women's DMs. There will always be simps, manginas, and government support unless the state completely collapses, like Raccoon used to say. The state is shameless, but it's not stupid. So there will always be simps chasing after these women, okay? But the thing is, the guys they actually want aren't. For a woman, winning isn't having a bunch of beta males, manginas, ugly, or poor guys in her DMs. Even if that gives her some kind of ego boost, what a woman really wants is a wedding in São Miguel do Milagres in Alagoas or a honeymoon in the Maldives. They want to live the kind of life that DJ Alok's wife has. That's what women want. And there are a lot of women who are 35, 37 years old who have been through the carousel who really think they're going to get that. And they keep doing these little antics on TikTok, thinking that some Prince Charming, a millionaire, a Brazilian version of Christian Grey is going to show up and save them, but that's not going to happen. So that's why we say winter is coming, because what they want is very far from happening, right? The future is pretty uncertain, right? Guys aren't even going to bars anymore, right? The other day I went to an event that was, I'll even quickly share a little personal story. It was an open food event held in the afternoon. There were all kinds of meats, smoked meats, a rack of poultry. Anyway, it was really well organized. For someone who's extremely carnivorous like me, it was a delight of an event. And there were a lot of women there, obviously, and a lot of men too. I noticed that compared to 2014, 2013, yeah, even though there were a lot of wannabes there, betas there, the guys were much more concerned with drinking their beer and eating meat than with flattering each other. Woman, of course, when a beautiful woman walks by in a short outfit, everyone looks and all that, right? It's much more of an instinctive thing. There, the guys even make those comments drooling and all, but nothing too out of the ordinary to mention or highlight. But as for men approaching women at these events, well, it's not just me. There are several subscribers here on my channel and others who are saying the same thing. People from Rio de Janeiro, São Paulo, Belo Horizonte are saying that guys just aren't approaching women anymore. There are hordes and hordes of tables at bars filled with single women, and they keep making those little jokes on TikTok, but now they're starting to complain that men aren't chasing after them anymore. So for us, to wrap up the video a bit shorter today, TikTok for the purposes of study and as a social laboratory, anthropological anyway, a lot of these little antics women do come from that, where they're being sly and saying that they themselves are the scams and talking about how men are a certain way. Even though it's just a thing, just an app, and society today is at a pretty low level, and I'm not even talking about morality, but intellectually, there are anthropological roots behind these behaviors. Coruja do Carvalho has already made a video talking about this, saying that women, this dissimulation, I'm going to make a video just about female dissimulation, but just to get ahead here, they have this thing, a tribal thing behind it, because they were taken by other men back in the days of society in the Paleolithic era, way back then, and they needed to adapt to the new males of the tribe. So even though it might seem a bit exaggerated, there really is a parallel, okay? With any kind of female dissimulation, whether it's in a relationship, in a speech, in a long post, or in a little joke on TikTok, they're specialists at this. That's it, okay? And if the woman is attractive, she can fool a lot of guys actually, even red-pilled guys, okay? Well, so TikTok really does have an importance when it comes to understanding society. A lot of things started there, a lot of men too, and of course, there are a lot of simps on TikTok. If you go to those profiles, you'll still find a bunch of simps saying, oh, men need to have attitude. It's always the same thing, really. It's either a boomer or a really unattractive guy anyway. You can just tell by looking at the guy. He's really needy, but there are also a lot of guys waking up over there. Yeah, because there are a lot of guys, there are a lot of fake accounts on TikTok or even personal accounts commenting on, in those stories that guys post on YouTube, they go on TikTok and comment like, is this really what you wanted? The feminism account has arrived. And sometimes there's some clueless guy who reads that, searches for a tag on YouTube, and ends up on some channel Anyway, that's the awakening. Don't underestimate how many men are waking up. Even though Brazil is a huge den of simps, there are a lot of guys who, just from a comment they see on TikTok or YouTube, that's why I always say your comments are important. Because sometimes a comment a guy reads will lead him to look for certain material, watch a certain video, and that guy will end up saving himself from a huge mess, you know? That's really chaos theory, isn't it? It's like the butterfly effect right there. A guy waking up today means one less alimony payment he has to make tomorrow to take it to an extreme, or even avoiding a loan. That's when he even sells something to the bank just to marry some average woman who's going to make his life hell, you know? So, yeah, men's awakening is really important. TikTok is helping with that too. Not just for men to see the true nature of women disguised as jokes, but also for the many guys who are waking up precisely because of the comments too and because of the content that women post. Because then the guy thinks, damn, man, I'm all blue pilled, I'm all romantic, nice guy here. I do things the way my mom taught me, the way the media taught me, anyway, the way women say they like. But here women are saying they like tanned guys with tattoos, bad boy looks, trashy guys, whatever, and these guys start waking up. So, anyway, behind every guy, that's when he woke up, there was some trigger, a spark there that was fundamental. So, here's the message keep an eye on TikTok. You don't even need to if you don't want to have an account there to see these absurd things, keep an eye on these channels. The ones that post these clips, because there's a lot of interesting stuff there and they're all the same. Other creators have already talked about this. Do you want to see the true nature of women? Give her a camera, give her an iPhone, let her record here. Then you'll see, even if she, and especially on these apps, where people tend to say a bit more, there's always that excuse of, it's just a joke behind it. That's when their true nature gets exposed, alright? A big hug to everyone.